Are you serious? Are you serious? This may be one of the most serious broadcasts I've ever done. And the question is very, very simple. Can drug companies induce diabetes? Can drug companies give us diabetes? Wow. I want to ask this question to somebody who actually may know how to help us find the answer. How's that? And joining us today from getthetea.com, our good friend, always great man, Ronnie McMullen. Ronnie, great to have you here today.
It's good to be on the show. How you doing, Pastor?
I'm doing great. I'm going to turn your volume up just a hair. For some reason, that sounds low. Say something, Ronnie.
Okay. Hello to everyone.
Oh, yeah, that's beautiful. All right, Ronnie, I hate to drop this ball on you, but you're the guy that, you're working with all kinds of supplements and all kinds of great things to help our body. And I tell you, getthetea.com, the tea is wonderful. And we'll get into some of that in a minute, but I want to drop the ball on you. This is so unethical, but let me give you an example. There's a product out right now, a nasal spray. And if you go to the FDA on list of recalls, it's called APOTEX nasal spray. And the reason it's being recalled is there's small glass particles in it. So here you are struggling with allergies and all kinds of problems. You get this nasal spray. There it is. You spray it in your nose, and there's little tiny glass particles you can't even see, irritating and continuing the irritation. I'm not saying these guys did this on purpose, but obviously I wouldn't accuse anybody of something like that. But at the same time, we're getting... So could drug companies actually give people diabetes?
Well, that's quite a question. Let me put it this way. I'll start here. So I have a tea coming that is going to help people keep normal blood glucose levels better. I've been working on the ingredients and making sure the ingredients are safe, making sure the ingredients are doing good things for the body, so on and so forth. In my studies, this is scary stuff. In my studies, I found articles that basically said they were working with rats for diabetes, which, why a rat, I'll never know. There must be something close to a human body in rats, and that's kind of scary in itself. And they said they induced X rats with diabetes. And I said, what?
What?
You induced a rat with diabetes?
So in other words, you deliberately gave the rats diabetes. So you have that capability.
Yes. So you could do clinical trials to find out what helps with diabetes. But the rat was fine before they induced diabetes. So obviously the rat has higher blood sugars, and rats die in their deal, whatever. This is not about necessarily saving the rat, even though that's kind of a bummer thing. But when I found this out, I don't know. I'm always in this thought process, like sometimes I don't trust a lot of people. So I said, if you were going to induce, let's just say a human being, because it has to be by needle. That's how these rats got diabetes, from a drug by needle. How would you, if you were going to induce, let's say, human beings, how would you induce them with a needle and they never know it? And immediately it was like, what if there was this drug in a vaccine? And I don't want to blame vaccines. Has got a bad rap anyway. That we wind the clocks back 30 years ago. We trusted all our vaccines.
Right.
Now we don't, because they're throwing. It's not like when you go and say, I want a flu shot and I want to get a vaccine. Can you give me the list of everything that's in that vaccine? They're not going to print that out for you.
No.
It's a trust issue. So I thought, well, if they're going to inject somebody with this drug and it gives them diabetes, I just thought, well, geez, I want to look it up because I don't want to find it. And if I don't find it, then my theory is dead and I'm good to go and people are good to go. Only one problem. This drug was sitting in some vaccines. Now, these weren't flu vaccines. These were just vaccines that they were experimenting on. And unfortunately, in my findings, they were giving babies these vaccines that had this drug in it. And there was words of diabetes, but it was supposedly to help the child not have diabetes.
But wait a minute.
Why would you give this drug to a child, a baby, to prevent from diabetes when you know very good and well if you put it in a rat, it gives the rat diabetes? I mean, that's what I was missing.
Yeah, here we are. Okay, so you go in there. The children are getting vaccines. There's all kinds of chemicals that are needed to help them, fight off diseases, what have you. But this specific drug you're talking about, which they already know, and you already know it, you read it, you see it. This is what they're using to give the rats the induced diabetes. Does this vaccine that their child is getting, does it have to have that drug? Does that drug have to be a part of the mix? Or are they just throwing that thing in there? I mean, that would sound deliberate. I just have to be honest. If it doesn't need to be in there, then why is it in there?
Exactly. Well, my daughter has a friend, and she has had diabetes since she was 8 months old.
Okay.
And interesting fact is, why was she not born with her diabetes? Why did she get it at 8 months? Did her parents feed her nothing but sugar, which actually, if you do the homework on that, sugar is not why you get diabetes. Because I have not had it my whole life, and I was a sugarholic at one point in my life where, I had a lot of sugar. Never. So they say, well, if you have a lot of sugar over long periods of time, you will get diabetes. That is absolutely not true. I don't know who's telling those stories, but they're not true. If you eat a lot of carbs, you will get diabetes. That's absolutely not true as well. It has to do with the T cells, and it has to do with the pancreas, and it has to do with the liver. So it has to do with autoimmune disease. So if you have an autoimmune disease, which there are things like GMOs, there's things like air pollution and water pollution and so on and so forth, and of course, possible vaccines that will give us these diseases. So why would a child at 8 months all of a sudden just go, boop, okay, I have type 1 diabetes?
It don't make
Very
sense.
rare. But what do you do, wind the clocks back 30 years ago, when a baby first born? You give them vaccines. So is there a possibility? Am I saying this is true? I'm not saying this is true.
Right.
But when you start connecting the dots and tip the first domino, you'll find that a few dominoes go with it. You'll find things, and drug companies, they kind of, I will say this, they don't really care, in my opinion, so much about life. They do care about it, but they care about the greenback a whole lot more than they care about life.
Well, what you're saying is here, is you got a whole population. They're very small. They have to take vaccines, but in the vaccines is this drug, and this drug already is known to induce diabetes on the rats. You start putting that in the child, and then as the child develops a little bit, here comes the diabetes. Now they got to keep going back to the doctor. There's all kinds of different issues, and you got to sell all kinds of drugs and prescriptions. I've never understood why the Food and Drug Administration are in the same breath. It's a conflict of interest. So what is the drug, Ronnie? You're not saying this drug is doing it, but it's okay. You should tell us, what is the drug they use? Let me put it this way. What is the drug they use to induce rats with diabetes?
Well, let's put it this way. When I did my research, and I've been on this diabetes research for a very long time, I looked at the induced drug that was giving rats diabetes, and they never printed it. It was just the drug. It was just, we gave induced diabetes. And I thought then something very wrong about inducing diabetes. I just struggled with the whole thing. Even though it was a rat, I just struggled with it, probably because I have it, and it's a very dangerous thing. And anyway, so I was like, but it never mentioned. And then when I did my studies just in the past 3 or 4 months, boom, here it pops up. And the drug is put out by Sigma USA. Sigma USA.
Okay.
And I'm not saying, I will clearly say this again, I'm not saying this is a fact, but I did find some information, and they were actually putting this drug in babies. They didn't say which babies. They didn't say American babies, African babies, Asian babies. They did not say. From 1 week to, I think it was 70 weeks old. And they were using this drug to protect the child from diabetes. That's kind of the same thought process as let's get a flu shot to protect us from the flu.
Right.
And we actually, in a flu shot, is a strain of flu.
Yeah.
There is very little proof that a flu shot will actually protect you from the flu. And look it up. I mean, you just got to be diligent. You'll find that the percentage is it's super low. Well, super. I don't think it's even 20%.
No, it's not. Matter of fact, this year, you had a horrible flu season. And I hate the word flu season because that's like speaking a disease on people. But during the height of when a lot of folks have the flu, by their own admission, the CDC said that the flu vaccinations out there was only helping in 10% of the flus. So, I mean, what a waste of time. 10%?
So you're close to what I heard. I heard 7%. Yeah. So you're going to take a shot, Pastor, you're going to take a shot and maybe have a 10% shot of helping yourself. No. And what is the other 90%? Forget the 10%. What's the 90%? That you might get something else that's way worse than just the flu. And by the way, people, this is just common sense. When you get a flu, okay, it actually helps your body because you build immunities. And when you don't get the flu and you live in a perfect environment, then you set yourself up for the great fall. So even though flus are nasty and they're not good, and there's obviously another way too, is obviously building the immunities. One is you get sick, that builds it, and two is taking certain things, and the certain things build your immunities, and you won't ever get anything anyway. So you go, the good way and the bad way, you might say. So I am not saying this is a fact, but the more research I do, it leads to the conclusion that it's possible, would be a word. And when you look up the rats, and you see that they're induced by a drug, you'll find the drug streptozotocin.
Spell that, Ronnie.
streptozotocin.
Pronounce that again.
I'm pronouncing it streptozotocin.
That looks about right. And so that's the drug, and it's put
that
out
induces mice with diabetes.
And it's being put out by a company called Sigma USA.
Correct.
Well, I think people should ask the doctor. I just turned down the flu shots. Forget it. Get away from me. But I think people should ask the doctor, can you give me a list of the drugs that are in this vaccine? And I say that with any vaccine. Can they provide you with that list, Ronnie?
They can, but they probably won't. And if you, I just went to the doctor, I had bursitis in my shoulder. So I went to the doctor and I said, this is killing me, blah, blah. He said, well, we can give you a shot. We would give you a cortisone shot. It goes by cortisone or cortisol. So I asked the thing that I always train all the people that listen to me. I train them. Always ask the doctor adverse effects. So I did. And he's a specialist, shoulder specialist. And I said, what is the adverse effects of cortisol? You should have seen the face change. He was upset.
He didn't want to tell you?
It was like, how dare you ask me? And the doctors get because the internet for doctors is a big taboo. They hate it. Now, the good doctors don't mind it. But the doctors that are being interrupted, they just want to make their money. They just want to do their thing. They just want everybody to trust what they say. And I'm not saying all doctors are bad, because doctors are good, but sometimes they forget why they even went to school in the first place. And the thing is this doctor got, I won't say angry or irate, but the doctor was like, how dare you ask this? And so he gave, well, it might happen this and this might happen. And it's like, to me, what difference that you want to let your people know what's going on? And that's like me selling a supplement and saying, well, is there any effects on this? Oh, God, why did you ask that? That's crazy.
Yeah.
You should be like, well, there's no adverse effects. And most herbs don't have any adverse effects. A few, and most of the time it's, you might be allergic or something like that. But I just find it interesting when we get educated. It seems that they and them hate when the public becomes educated.
Yeah. That's what social media has been all about, folks, is the ability to ask questions, to speak up, to have a voice. And this is why we have a show like this. I mean, getthetea.com, it's getthetea.com. He's got the best tea in the world, and it's the best there is for you. My opinion, I really like it. Also, he's got a lot of supplements. And matter of fact, like you said, you're working on some certain formulas right now that you're wanting to bring out very soon. I got a question for you, Ronnie. You've got this Ocean Sleep, and I think this is fairly new. Also, Apple Cider Plus, and we've heard from people. They've actually wrote us and asked us, could you help us understand what is Ocean Sleep?
Ocean Sleep is really cool. It's part of Regalis that's in there, which is basically the sea urchin. Okay, and it's inside of Ocean Sleep, and what it does is it kind of mellows you out. It does not drug you. It's not a drug. It's all natural, but it just kind of lets you count sheep, let's say.
And it's all natural. It's natural. It's not.
It's natural. You relax, and I take it sometimes like, like if you're stressed or you go watch a TV program right before you go to bed, you kind of, it just kind of mellows you out. And it doesn't mellow you out to where you can't drive or droggy or any of that stuff, but I like it. It just kind of puts you in the zone to sleep. And it's all from the ocean, so it's a neat thing. So I take it occasionally.
All right. That's good. And what about Apple Cider Plus? I'm just throwing these two out because we've heard from people. Can you tell us about what's Apple Cider Plus do?
Apple Cider Plus, to me, is a great product because apple cider vinegar is the main component of that. And Apple Cider Plus, the apple cider vinegar, if you look at what apple cider vinegar does and you look at all the different good things it does, it's kind of off the charts. It's a lot like the Allison, but it does different things, but it's a lot like the Allison. It's a natural thing and it does tons. One of the things, speaking about blood sugars, there's morning dawn where, the dawn phenomena is what they call it, where your blood sugars are spiked between 3 and 5 o'clock in the morning, and they just take off. And that's when your pancreas dumps and your kidneys dump, and it does like a whole cleaning theory. That's when your body does a cleaning theory. And during that, it will dump, and basically your blood sugars will kind of go way high, sometimes 10, 20 points. So the apple cider vinegar, if you take 2 or 3 pills before you go to bed, you'll see a huge change in that. And, I got to be careful what I say here, but you might be pleased with the product. That's just one issue. Some people say they've really lost weight with apple cider vinegar because it's like an appetite suppressant. So they take 2 or 3 pills that way. Be careful when you take it. You should probably take it with a meal or right after a meal. But it has so many effects, and all you have to do is Google apple cider vinegar and the benefits of apple cider vinegar, and it's off the chart. Many people, the reason I developed this product is many people don't want to take a sip of apple cider vinegar because that's kind of the best for you. But it's rancidly terrible, and you put a spoonful in a little glass of water, and it's still like, oh, wow. And people don't like that. So this is a pill form. It'll release in your body, and you'll get the same effects, except you don't have that nasty taste. So I love it. And again, I take all my supplements, so it's kind of unfair.
Well, it's not, folks. This is Ronnie McMullen from getthetea.com, and he really is on top of these things happening. I'm going to go back to this drug, that gives rats diabetes, and now Ronnie's researching, and he's finding it showing up in several different vaccines and several different other things. Why? Why would this drug be in these things when you already know this is what they use it for? Now, I'm questioning it because you have to question it. And I think it's okay to question, folks. What is it you're eating? What is it? Look, let me just tell you something else. Dill pickle flavored potato chips in one of the major stores has been pulled off the shelves because there's an undeclared milk is in there. It's not listed in the ingredients. It's undeclared. They just put it in there. I mean, what else do they put in there that's not declared? That's the thing, Ronnie, that's concerning the public. And what can you do? I mean, you've got some products that can help us. I know you can't say it cures diabetes, but I mean, certainly there's some things that have some great properties.
I've got a tea coming out in probably, I'm hoping for 3 weeks, but it might be 4 or 5, depending on how it's, because I just got to, dot the I and cross the T. It's called Takedown Tea, and it's going to help you support your blood. There we go. When we're talking about, and this always floors me too. Let's go back to dill pickle chips. So dill pickle chips, because they have milk, which is can be an allergen for some. They're going to pull it off the shelf, and they should have marked it. I understand that, but they act like it's a poison. Okay, and an allergen can be kind of a poison to some people, so I do get it. But boy, they sure don't act that way when they have a drug that absolutely is having people drop dead.
Right.
They don't seem to pull those drugs quite as fast as they're pulling the dill pickle chips. And I just kind of wonder what's going on around here. Is it me, or are we being distracted?
Well, I mean, let's face it. I mean, the dirty little secret is you go to the doctor, you got something wrong, they give you a prescription for maintenance. Never do they say, go home, take this, you'll be cured. Never. Okay. No. Just this is it. This is it. You're locked in the rest of your life, and you got people taking 9, 10, 12, 14 pills every day to function. I mean, are you serious? What in the world is wrong with this picture, Ronnie? We need to know the things that help us overcome illnesses, not just I'm not getting this.
I'm not either, and here's one I don't understand. So obviously, I have a supplement company and a tea, and the tea is not just tea to drink that you can buy for $5 in the store. It's a totally different ballgame. But my point is why is it, as a supplement owner, company, whatever, I can't tell you to take, or not tell you to take, but I can't even inform you. Like, I can't say, okay, Allison does X, Y, Z, or Apple Cider Plus does XYZ, I can't tell you full on what they do, because if I do, I'm supposedly making a claim. And now the claim, let's just say we're using vitamin C, and I say, oh, this will do this, 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 and this for your body, and I make it a claim, it immediately, by the interpretation of the FDA, it turns the vitamin C into a drug. Even though vitamin C is not a drug, it's a supplement. It's a food. So it turns it to a drug, and now I'm making drug claims, which kind of involves me in big pharma, and then I can get in trouble, big trouble. So why are these set in place, and why you can't say diabetes, you can't say high blood pressure with a supplement? I can't say, well, this supplement will take care of high blood pressure. I can't say that because high blood pressure is a disease, just those 3 words together. So we have our freedom of speech has also been stolen from us, but we seem to be okay with that, I guess. And why is it, even to the point where you go, this economy is so great and everything else, and nobody's paying attention. The gas prices are going up. They're going up real quick, and nobody's saying a word about it. Trump's so wonderful, but the gas prices are going up.
They are.
Just like our blood pressure is going up. So nobody's saying anything, and it's like, does anybody see there's something wrong with the set? We're living in this illusion that is broken. I just don't understand. So I try my best to go under the, to do what the FDA wants me to do. And that's the other one. Federal Drug Administration. And yet I don't have one drug in my company. Why are they looking and overseeing me?
Yeah. I mean, why you shouldn't have anything to do. They have no jurisdiction over you when you have no drugs. You're not selling drugs.
That should be the way it is, but they absolutely have jurisdiction over me. And if I don't watch my P's and Q's, I could get in big trouble. I don't want to be in trouble with them. I understand there's companies out there, and they might put salt in a pill or sugar in a pill and call it something and try to make money and whatever. I get that. I do. I want my stuff safe. But I go under a lot of testing. I go under a lot of stuff to make sure my stuff's right, to make sure it's GMO-free, organic, blah, blah, blah. And so I want to be compliant. But on the same token, it should be fair to say, here's what vitamin C can do for you, especially if you can find it all over the internet and doctors talking about it. Then it should be fair game to say it.
I think that anything that's posted, that's any any kind of analysis or research that is published by major universities or medical universities,
correct,
and it's been accepted as data for the FDA. If that's out there, then you should be allowed to quote anything from that if it's in relationship to the products that you bring forward. I mean, here you are, D365. We know that this is your, this is the pill form of getthetea.com. But you should be able to tell us the benefits of the tea. What are the benefits? Why can't you say?
Yeah, see, I have to use words like intruders, which that's fine, as long as I can paint a picture so people understand. You're getting bombarded by intruders in the air and the water and, foods and everything else. So how do you get rid of the intruders? The tea is the way to go. It's not just green tea. People go, oh, it's expensive green tea. Well, it's not green tea. I mean, there is green tea in it, but it's a small amount. What it does, I can't even say it's going to save your life, but, read between the lines. I have email after email. You probably get them too.
Yeah.
About how these products have helped people.
Yeah.
And yet somebody will listen to this and they'll go, nah, I don't need that stuff. And I'm thinking, why would you think that way? This is not about me just selling stuff. This is about building an army of health. This is people getting well, Even if you listen to what I say and you buy it somewhere else, at least you're going to do the right thing. And so I want to see people healthy. I sleep at night for that reason.
Ronnie, you've got a product out now. You talked about ocean sleep, and you got a product out called Potency Sea Vegetables. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, yeah. Sea vegetables are good. There's a bit of seaweed, you might say, in there. I can't tell you all the things that it does because I'll be in trouble again. But,
can I guess? Can you give me multiple choice? I mean, okay, good.
Yeah. Could be for thyroid. Not sure about that. Could be for sleep. It could be for, but it does a lot of really good things. It's a natural iodine. So there you go.
Okay.
So that's good. But it's you'd have to just go look it up on my website and see the best you can do there. It's just I've had to, and this is terrible, Pastor, but my website had so much more information on it, and the FDA came up and they said you can't have that. And then they came to me and they said, by the way, you have all these people talking about how good it is and how it helped them with this and helped them with that and healed them with this. That's a no-no, and you're in violation.
No testimonials? You're not allowed to post the testimony?
In their mind, maybe I went to Mary Jane, and I said, Mary Jane, can you write me a testimonial, and I'll pay you $50? There was nothing. I've never done that. Never
no,
will.
I know you did.
So they take that as a sales claim, like you're making sales, and I think. And what they want, in my opinion, is they want you to say, sea vegetables, put your price up, what's in the bottle, call it. And it's like if somebody just sees sea vegetables and a price and everything else, do you think they're really going to buy the product? Probably not. So I just go, it makes it tough. We've seen a little bit of downturn even. And I think there's a little downturn because people are nervous with what's going on. They know the economy's fake. They know there's a lot of, we're living in an illusion. But, long and the short of it is it's hard to tell people about stuff when your whole vocabulary has been stripped.
Well, we started this broadcast, folks, asking the question, could they be inducing or could they be injecting drugs into us while we're getting vaccinations that could actually cause us to get diabetes, which then would cause us to have to go to the doctor for a number of different physical ailments over a long period of time. That's the question. And when you find the drug, which Ronnie has told us today was actually used to induce diabetes in rats, you find out that that exact drug is in several different vaccinations, especially with children. I mean, you just got to ask questions. And it's just, to me, if they don't want to tell us, we got to ask it. And that's what alternative media can do. We can ask the question. I mean,
well, here's a question that we should ask.
Okay.
How many vets went into the war, into military service, whatever, came out and within 5 years got diabetes?
That's a great question. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see the survey.
In the military, you're a guinea pig, and they give you every needle there is. And there ain't nothing you can do about it.
And people will say, "Oh, Paul and Ronnie, I mean, you guys are conspiracy theorists." Let's go back. Then let's go back to the 1930s when our federal government injected 400 African American men with syphilis purposely and monitored them over a lifetime on the effects of syphilis. And they finally admitted this 60 years later. Our government did that, okay?
And a weather balloon floated over Roswell back in 1947. So, has the U.S. government ever lied to us? That would be the question you start with.
The answer is yes. Would they ever inject us with something without telling us? The answer is yes. Could they be giving us diabetes? The answer is, could they? You asked me, could they or are they? How about could they? Yes, they could be. I don't know.
I hope not. I hope I'm so dead wrong on this, but I did find some very scary things, and I'll just leave it at that. So I hope I'm wrong. I want to be wrong. And I'm not saying Sigma's doing bad things, but, I did find out that when they do clinical trials, they don't do them in the U.S. I did find out when they do clinical trials, people have died. So, could they? It's possible. Are they? I don't know.
Folks, this is Ronnie McMullen with us. He's from GetTheT.com. Go to his website. Check out all the different supplements he has. We have to fight the chemtrails. We have to fight the GMO. Now we got to fight the vaccines. I mean, are you serious? So go to his website. Check it out. He's a great guy. And you know what? Supporter of our ministry. And just really, really appreciate you very much, Ronnie. Thank you today for being with us.
I appreciate you too. And by the way, if you go and you buy something, please, let me know that you listen to Pastor Paul Begley, because that just helps me out and helps him out. So, he's getting the information to you. So this is a great way for you to support him. So anyway, thanks so much, Pastor.
All right, Ronnie. God bless you. And folks, stay tuned next time for more right here.